for the late start. We had some technical difficulties, but we are ready to go. I'm your host, Maurice, here with my brother Chad. I'm
My
giving.
brother, how are you today?
I'm doing blessed, man. Besides the technical issues, we rock it. We here,
Yeah, we here.
and we're gonna make it work.
Yeah, come
Yeah.
over
So,
here. Yeah.
let us know in the chat. First and foremost, how you guys are doing. Let us know what questions you have because we're live with Home Buyer Academy. That means anything in a home buying space that you have questions about, we want to get answered for you. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this with somebody, share this with 5 people that you want to bless with information that are in hopes of becoming homeowners or have goals of owning homes or whatever the case may be. Want economic empowerment? Share this video with them. Anything else?
Nah, man, I'm just grateful to be here. Another Tuesday, another Homebuyer Academy. Got a little echo going on. Can you hear it?
No, I can't hear it on my end. I'm about to pull it up
Yeah.
on socials to see what it sound like.
Man, I can't even get over that, bro.
Yeah, I don't hear it on here, but I hear it on Facebook. But it's gonna be all right. It's going to be all right. So, like we always want to do, we're gonna get ourselves settled and grounded in here. It is Gratitude Tuesday, so we're gonna talk about what we're grateful for, and then we're gonna get into tonight's lesson. So I'm gonna toss the ball over to you, Chad, and you take us into the flow.
Yeah, brother. So, uh, first and foremost, I want to just say thank you because we're in a great place of opportunity. Because in the midst of the limitations and the challenges that we all may face, there's an abundance of now. There's an abundance of right now, and in each every. Can you hear me?
No,
Okay,
yeah,
got you, got
Michael's closing the office door, so let's get rid of
you.
that sound. My bad.
Got you. Okay, so now I'm not hearing the echo. Man, yeah, hey, so we're going through the technical things right now, y'all. Just to let you know, it's all going down, it's all upside down, but in the midst of it, we're blessed. So I wanted to take this moment for us to get really connected to what we're working on, to our space in this whole journey. And in doing so, I wanted us to just stop to take a few deep breaths and get connected to this moment. Um, all of the give and take, the energy around your day, if we could just settle it all and just really focus on being present. And we could start by just taking a nice deep breath, holding it at the top for 4 seconds, and then gently releasing it, allowing yourself to really get settled into the now. We're going to take another deep breath, deeply inhale, possibility, light, love, and just hold on to it for 4 seconds at the top. And just really just deeply release. All right. So, as usual, we like to just start this session with a piece of gratitude. So, Mo, if you could take it away with what is the thing that you're most grateful for in this last set of time here? There go those technical difficulties we were telling you about. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. You hear, my bro?
Yeah, let me see.
But I'll go ahead and jump in and speak about what I'm grateful for. If you could just put it on mute, Mo.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I just came back from a family trip to New York, and it was just a real powerful and beautiful experience. Being able to connect with my family and my friends is something that was really special and I cherish. Inside of this space of home ownership, what was really cool about it was I was able to visit, I was there for about 10, 11 days, and I was able to visit so many different family members, sisters, my mom, my cousins, And the dope part about it is just about everybody owned their own house. So it was really cool to experience everybody in their own domain, everyone in their space that was uniquely theirs, which I thought was really, really cool. And the whole tone and the energy around it was something that I was able to appreciate house to house, right? The different tonality around spirituality and the different tonality around uh, youth and the children and uh, just all the different pieces at place that really allowed people to be expressed through their houses. And that's something that I'd never really processed before. But yeah, your home carries a piece of your identity. It speaks for who you are in terms of where you set your, how you set yourself up. And I really got a chance to really appreciate and experience that with my family, my wife, and my 5 kids. Just the most beautiful experience, bro. It's amazing. So yeah, I'm truly grateful for that. How about yourself? If you could jump in,
As I think my camera's frozen, but can you hear me?
I could hear you.
Man, this is they look. The devil don't want us to. The devil don't want us to be live, man.
Yo, it's crazy. This is so funny to me, man.
Yeah, I got this Denzel face going on right now. So,
You like
but
you was posing for that, like you said cheese and all that.
yeah. So, but I am grateful for. I was got to visit family this weekend too. I was visiting my cousins out in Miami. First time in Miami. It was a nice trip. Got down there. It wasn't even that bad of a drive. Like been in Florida. It hit me. Been in Florida what 8 years now, and I was like, I ain't never been south of Kissimmee. I was like, I gotta change that up because there's so many beautiful areas in Florida that you can visit. So I'm just grateful that I'm going out and getting out more.
Yo, it's wild to think you've been in Florida for 8 years. I've been in Florida for 8 years.
Yeah, I think you got here a month before me.
Word?
Yeah, you came in June, right?
Nah, I came in April.
Oh, April. Yeah, I came in July of 2017, right?
Wow,
Yep.
that's cool.
Yeah, man.
All right.
God does it was
More.
destined, man.
Yeah, right. We had to come down here to connect and find out to build your family and for me to build mine as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope.
Yes, sir.
But yeah,
So,
man, let's just go ahead. I wanted to really have you take the floor to express a message for people who are aspiring for home ownership, but getting connected to the spiritual, mental, and mindset piece
mm-hmm.
around home ownership. So if you could just share your message, man, I'd love to hear what you got.
So I was meditating on God's word today, and I was thinking about how it talks about the straight and narrow path. That wide is the way for destruction, and narrow is the way to peace and to glory. And it made me think of putting that in perspective with home ownership. When you take the narrow path, you stay consistent, come up with a plan and execute it. Staying on that path all the way through, you will have the prosperity, the glory, what's at the end of the road for you. But wide is the way that can lead to destruction, right? Like, you're starting to save more, and then you get that itch, and you're like, I want to buy something, or your credit score go from like 580 to 640, and then you're like, let me buy a car, let me get a credit, and so like all as the opportunities widen itself, it can become more dangerous for you when you're getting towards that goal. But if you stick to that plan, stay on that straight and narrow path with your with your team, with your broker, with your real estate agent, the plan that you execute, you see it all the way through until you get them keys in your hand and you move into that house. So stick to that straight and narrow path.
Yes, man, that's powerful. And I mean timely as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. The path being wide is a real interesting dilemma and dynamic because sometimes having more options feels you could just hit the pause. Not the pause, but yeah, there we go. Like you're saying, to have the path being wide to destruction and all of that, like when you have more options, it feels like it's a better thing, but sometimes more options leads to more confusion. In truly many cases, it's a matter of not going broader in your search or in your desire for what you want, but really honing in and being quite specific in terms of what's going to work for you. And also leaving room for the miracles and leaving room for the opportunities, but being a lot more honed in with where your focus is. So yeah, that's real timely, my brother. And today in particular, we're going to be talking about off-market properties and ways that you could actually become a home buyer in less conventional means. Now, one of the areas that people speak about all the time and want to get more information about are foreclosures. And foreclosures generally mean properties that people own that are in a distressed state. Technically, a foreclosure is a property that's been taken back by the bank, but that market isn't a market that's generally open to the public. Meaning that if the bank takes a property at a foreclosure auction, then there's very little chance of you as an individual purchasing one home being able to get your hands on that property because it goes to a market where it's called an REO. And what an REO is simply real estate owned by the bank after they've done the foreclosure on the property. That means that they went through the legal process after somebody's been late on their mortgage from 3 months or more, and whatever it is in that state's process, they went through it. It went to auction and it reverted back to the bank. Now, oftentimes at an auction, people think this is a great opportunity to buy a house cheap. But the reality is, at a real estate auction, the buyers are cash buyers because you have to close within 30 days in just about every auction that I know of. Not to say that there might not be others that are different, but here in Orlando, New York, Georgia, Atlanta in particular, different auctions that I've experienced, you need to be able to compete with cash. So the reality is an auction isn't a viable option for a first-time home buyer or somebody that doesn't have access to hard money or cash or private money to be able to transact pretty much within a few days. So auctions are going to be generally off the table, and I won't be speaking about those as a way that you could purchase your property. But what happens is another way thing that's off the table really is that REO market. So now it's gone through the process. An investor did not buy it and it goes back to the bank. At that point, one of the things that's been the biggest challenge in this real estate market is it's hard for us as real estate professionals to gauge exactly where the market's going to go because of hedge funds. Not going to get too deep into it, but the bottom line is that all of these REO properties aren't being sold individually to people like me or my friends who buy properties or anything like that. Generally, they're sold in large clips to hedge funds. These are large multi-billion dollar investors that are buying hundreds of properties at a time. They buy the notes, they buy the debt itself, and are able to get the properties for significant discounts. But what does that do? That takes people like us out of that foreclosure market. And the bad part about that is that now we are losing the opportunity to participate in a lot of the upside with these what was the foreclosure market in the past. So what that leaves for us is foreclosures that have not technically been foreclosed on. So these are really what's called list pendants. That's a more accurate description of the market that people can find opportunities in, the list pendants market. What a list pendants is, it's a legal action to start the foreclosure process. So it's the filing of the bank saying, hey man, I haven't got my payment in about 5 months now. It's time for me to call my attorneys and send them after you. So it's like the collection process. And at that point now, you're going to see that most sellers or most homeowners who are faced with the list pendants generally tend to be more motivated. Now, I'm going to go through this from both dynamics. Now, let's say that I have a property and I just received the list pendants. What's going to happen? Me, I'm like, dang, I got all of these kids here. I have all of my children, my family. I put so much time into this house. I don't want to lose this house. I'm going to do everything that I can. I'm going to borrow from borrow from Paul to, you know how the saying goes. I mixed it all up, but But the bottom line is, I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to get that money to bring my home current. Whether I have to work more hours, take on a second job. But what ultimately can happen is somebody that's dealing with being behind on the mortgage, the number one thing you can do, call your lender. Because when you call your lender, they're um, very motivated by the government, by the funding that they receive. It's tied to them being able and to help you with a mortgage solution. So you'll be able to do what's called a modification in most cases, which means that they could restructure your loan payments to give you something that's more affordable than what you're struggling with now. That's done in a number of different ways. It could be done as a forbearance, where that balance is added to that mortgage that you owe, and then it's recalculated based on an interest rate that they work out for you. Or they could do a modification where they just take the amount that's owed and just push it to the back and don't include it into what the new payment's going to be, but they just work out a payment that's just going to be more accessible for you. So those are the things that's happening right now that makes sellers less motivated to sell. Homeowners who are facing foreclosure or have a list pendants are more apt to reach out to their bank and do a modification or get some kind of a hardship assistance that's going to keep them away from the foreclosure block. And then because of this, we have a less motivated foreclosure market. However, what is happening is that properties aren't moving as fast. So there's a lot more inventory on the market. So with more inventory, you're going to find more opportunities. So if you do intend to buy a foreclosure, I'll tell you the number one thing you can do as an individual buyer is to set that intention very early. And the reason why I say that is because for people who need to buy a property, and oftentimes you have people who come into the mortgage or into the buying market because their lease is expiring, or because I just got married and we need to get a house. I just had a kid, I need to get a house. Um, I'm getting separated from my partner, I need to find a house. There are a lot of things that drive people to respond to their circumstance to buy a house. But my invitation to you is to take the initiative to be motivated and get started well in advance of you actually having the property or the circumstance that's pushing you into the home buying market. This way, you're able to be a lot more judicious about how you approach the market, and it gives you time to be able to see more opportunities. So, if you want a foreclosure, it's not a scenario where you say, "Yeah, you know what? I want to buy a foreclosure," and you could just go to a real estate agent and say, "Hey, just give me a foreclosure." There's so much competition for those properties, but more importantly, you have to know where to find them. They're not always going to be on the MLS. And if they are on the MLS, which is the multiple listing service, where properties that are listed with real estate agents all across the state or in every single state in different regions of the country, those properties that are made public, the beauty of it is that now we know what's there, we know what's for sale, but so does everybody else. The sweet deals that are off market are the ones that nobody else knows about. So I always tell people that whatever social circle you are a part of, you make sure to start having that conversation and let your people know that you're looking to buy a house. So if you're a member of a church, get started early and often telling people that you're looking to buy a house. Why? Because Miss Mavis, who's 85 years old, who owns a house, who doesn't have any children that could buy the house, is going to need someone to buy her house eventually. It might be the right one. It might be an investment opportunity. It might be a solution where you're giving her away when she's not seeing anyway. You might be a part of uh, a civic organization, right? Kiwanis or a fraternity. Let your people know that you're looking to buy a house, because the easiest deals in real estate are the ones with motivated people who don't have to go through any other intermediaries. Now, I always say if you are a seller and you find someone that could be a buyer, it's good to bring a realtor in after the fact. And again, to help to make the process smoother. But once you list it to the open market, Now, I mean, as a seller, that's good for you, but as a buyer, now you have so much competition. So you want to position yourself that you get out there early and you just speak about you looking to buy a house so that you could find a better deal. And when I say early, I'm talking about 2 years in advance, a year in advance or more, because the more time, the merrier. Otherwise, you're just going to be in a position that, hey, listen, I have 6 months before I'm buying, I have 4 months before I'm buying, and then you have less time to be strategic. All right.
All right. And I got a quick question for you, bro. My camera's not working, so they're just gonna have to listen in. From the perspective of the person that went into foreclosure, how does that affect their ability to buy in the future? Like, do they get penalized, or what is that like? How does that affect them?
Here's the
Here's the
very
very
important thing
important thing
to
to
know about that. When they sell is important. If they sell is important. If they don't sell, and the property goes to foreclosure, now you're in a position that you're going to have to wait 2 years in most cases, or 3 years in other cases, before you could get back into the home buying market and qualify for an FHA or conventional mortgage, right? Respectively. If you're able to sell before you foreclose, FHA is only looking at the last 12 months of mortgage history. Conventional is going to look at the last 24 months of mortgage history. So if you were 120 days late for a whole year, but then a year later you're looking to buy and there's no late payment history at that point, that's not going to stop you at all. Now, of course, you would want to make sure that your credit also meets the requirements, but being faced in foreclosure and actually not going through it, all you need is a year. But if you actually go through the foreclosure process and your house is repossessed from you, then that's going to take you 2 years, in some cases three, before you could put down just 3.5% or 5% or 3% on your conventional mortgage. But yeah,
But yeah,
that's a
that's a
really good
really good
question.
question. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, sorry, my the it went in and out. So back to the points that you were making about finding foreclosure homes. Is there like an
Mhm.
advantage of going after those homes? Like in the sense of like, does it take more work, but it's better for you, in a sense?
Well, there's
Well,
a
there's a
reason
reason
that
that
real
real
estate
estate
investors
investors
are
are
looking for
looking
those
for those
kinds
kinds
of
of deals.
deals. People who are flipping properties, yes, they do buy property from MLS, the MLS sometimes. They do buy property from the auction sometimes. But the best deals and the deals that they're looking for all the time are the people who are facing foreclosure, who need to sell now for whatever circumstance. Some of the biggest motivating factors is the loss of a breadwinner. So if somebody in the family passes who's paying the mortgage, that loss oftentimes leads to a need in that family of either refinancing quickly or finding a solution. In many cases, it means that they're just going to have to try to sell before they lose the house. So that is unfortunately one of the areas where you can find the lowest price or the most motivated seller. So that's something, again, when I say to speak about this in your social circles, it doesn't particularly sound like it's a blessing for you to buy a house at a deep discount. But that person that's selling the house, you're giving them a relief. Without you, without another buyer that could close quickly or whatever the circumstance may be, that house is being taken over by the bank. So they're going to have the scar of that repossession, that foreclosure on their credit score. They're going to have the limitation of not being able to buy for 2 more years. That's restricting them from buying. They're going to lose out on equity. They're going to lose out on pride. They're going to lose out on a lot by losing it for nothing. So if you're able to give them a way out, that's a blessing. Now, that's true for people who are experiencing, and it's particularly in the probate realm. If somebody has a will, a trust, at that point, there's a succession plan of the property. So the deals probably won't be as beneficial to a buyer. But if they don't have a will, if they don't have a trust, that property is generally going to go into probate, which means that Once it goes through probate, there's normally terms and conditions that could be set that says that the property must be sold. Or if somebody's going through the process of probate, they probably are, raising their hand saying that they want to sell this property, and I don't want to have to deal with the maintenance down in Florida when I live up here in Wisconsin or New York or Chicago, wherever it may be. So that's one of the areas that's really some of the deepest um, opportunities. Another area is the loss of a job. Also, what's really big, unfortunately, is divorce. A lot of people are facing divorce and they have to sell a house. And oftentimes, after they go through beating each other up, they still are left in a position that, to save myself and for them to save themselves, let's just get rid of this thing. So, those are some of the areas. There are also some visual things that you'd want to look out for. You'd want to look out for properties that are unkept, broken glass, high grass. In New York or up north, you're looking for snow that's not shoveled where every other driveway is. Either they might be on vacation or they might be facing foreclosure or the property might be vacant. So vacant houses are another opportunity because vacant houses often indicate one of those circumstances happening and the person skating from that house before they actually have to face the music with the bank. So those are some of the things that you want to look out for. And the sooner you could do it, the better. So, as to Mo's message at the very beginning, that measure of consistency inside of the focus of what you want is where the path to blessings and the wider path, oh, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, I could do that, is confusing and also ultimately the path of destruction. So, being able to focus, even if you don't end up getting that foreclosed home, you'll be a lot more educated about a particular area, a lot more educated about the market that you're in, and lot more likely to find a good deal.
That's good. Thank you for answering that one. And I know you mentioned like other what are some other off market you was I think the term you used types of ways to acquire homes like besides foreclosure.
So, so
So
there's
there's
a very
very
small
small,
but
but
growing market of off-market properties that I think are going to be a real opportunity in the end of 2025 and going into 26 and 27. But those are uh, rent. I'm sorry, for sale by owners. Here's the thing about a lot of these for sale by owners. There's already going to be a lot of competition on the market. So they could list their house to the agent, but the thing is, they already don't want to have to sell and pay a commission. For whatever reason, there might be narrow margins in that house. That property might be vacant, and they might not have enough to say, "Oh man, I'm gonna pay an agent's 4 or 6% or whatever it may be." That money really could go a long way for me. You might be able to offer them a solution by saying, hey, look, I'm looking to buy right now. What's up? Let's talk about how we can make the numbers work. And instead of paying an agent, you could give me a concession to help me to buy that house. So, really looking into properties that are for sale by owners, legitimate for sale by owners, are a great place for you to look early because again, with more inventory hitting the market, these for sale by owners are going to be on the market as long, if not longer, than those properties that are being seen by the general market. So if you could go online on Zillow or Realtor.com and you could see the property that's listed, that's easy. What about those properties that says not for sale, but somebody's in the background really frantically trying to sell it, but they don't have access to that public marketing? If you're the one calling those people, you could really make progress because not everyone's going to be calling them.
Um, well, am I lying? I have one more question since we're in like in that space.
Hmm.
Because I heard of like title, like people get homes by like acquiring like a title, like through an auction or something. Is that like how much do you know about that part of like unusual and different ways to get property?
Well,
Well,
so
so
it
it
sounds like you're
sounds like you're
referring
referring
to
to what title auctions? I think they're called
tax
tax
deeds. Yeah.
deed. Tax deeds. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There's tax deeds and there's tax liens. Tax deeds, when you buy the tax deed, there's a redemption period, but if after a while the taxes isn't paid, then you can redeem that for the deed. Now, a vast majority of those properties that you could purchase from the tax deed or even the tax lien option, the tax lien is actually the tax that you're actually buying the debt now, the actual debt, and they just have to pay you off. So depending on where you buy that tax deed, there are different laws in different states. Some states allow you to make as much as 16% interest um, when you actually buy that deed. So let's say the tax deed is 10,000, you'll make 16% on 10,000, right? More or less, whatever it is, you'll get that percentage. And if the redemption period isn't met, then you could take over ownership. Now, that is an area where I actually have a friend who's an expert and an educator in that space. And that's something that we could actually have her come on to talk about at some point. But she could also talk about the regular the reality of that being a property buying option. More than anything, again, you're buying pretty much a guaranteed investment. It's taxes. What's guaranteed in life? Death and taxes. You're buying taxes. You're investing in taxes. So the person got to pay you, and if they don't pay you, you get the crib. So that's solid. It's secure. But I think a lot of people think that you buy the tax deed and you get the house, and it doesn't necessarily work just like that. But that is a space. And if that's a place where you are interested as you're watching this, please let me know. And I'll see, depending on how many people are interested, we could get you set up with my friend so she could present and tell you more of those details that you could consider in your home purchasing or your investment process.
That's awesome. And that's all the questions I have for today. Did you want to take us out of here? Did you have anything else you wanted to share for the people?
No, man. Well, I think that it's beautiful that you give yourself a chance in the room for error, because once you get in the game early, and I can't emphasize it enough, once you set the intention that I'm going to buy a property, the universe is going to bend to make you right. And you have to just be open to that process, but be willing to claim it, declare it, and share it, because that's the way that it's going to be able to come around to you. So if there's any questions that you have about where you stand in the journey, please book a call with me and we'll discuss your different pathways to home ownership. We could go more in depth into different strategies that you could actually employ to start finding the properties that are going to make the most sense for you and help you to get into home ownership in the easiest possible way. All right. So, with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining us. Please do book a call. Also, join our Facebook group, because we also have our live call in the Facebook group. And that's the place that if you have questions, that you could actually reach out to us and get that answered within 24 to 48 hours. And again, there's always a call with us as well. So we're grateful to be able to be here to serve. Stay connected. We're here every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Today it was 7-ish. But thank you for the grace and the space to work through these technical issues that we're still working on. As you can see, Mo got us looking really good. We're looking really good, but we're looking to keep on elevating. So please give us feedback, give us comments, give us concerns, and we're happy to serve and help you make home ownership your lot.
See you guys.